Hello, hello, hello. I'm Dan Lutz, and welcome to Where We Go One, We Go All. Love Frontlines. Well, another broadcast here today. This is Monday for me, June 10th, 2019. So today, I've been going over a few different things, and there's a lot to talk about. But the one thing I think is kind of caught my attention most is coming from American intelligence media. And so Michael McKibben was on with Thomas Gabriel, and they were discussing the technology that was basically stolen to create all of the social media platforms, Google, Facebook, all of it. And actually, not only that, but the security certificates all basically came from Leader Technologies. And the patents are there. And they were discussing how to resolve this. Number one, by resolving this, we really remove the problem we're seeing in our world today with the censorship, trying to do mind control from all of these different platforms. And in listening to their broadcast, now I'm not going to actually go. We're not going to listen to it. I will point to it and have you guys go look at it and we'll listen. I think it's pretty important because they're really talking about resolution. And in their resolution, it actually solves our bigger problem with a lot of the world, with the cabal, with the deep state. Now, first, let's talk about the problem. Before we get into that, I just want to let everyone know you're welcome to join in the conversation. I did post the link in the Where We Go One We Go All.love, wwg1wga.love Telegram group. So please, if you're interested, just go ahead and join, and we can talk about this. Or if there's anything else you'd like to bring up, because there is a lot going on. But it's also the calm before the storm, as Trump pointed out again. So while he's in England, it was interesting. It was the second time he's used the phrase, with a big group setting. So let's see, what has been the problem since they stole this technology, and who exactly stole it? Now, we've been discussing this interconnected system that's literally worldwide. Now, it's intelligence agencies that have been, conducting this system of mind control. It actually reminds me of a book, three books, a series. It's actually a trilogy written by Isaac Asimov. One of my favorite books when I was a kid. It's called the Foundation Trilogy. And it really talks about a hidden cabal, a hidden method of control. And it really, I think if we were to go, I was actually thinking of rereading this just to see, how accurate it is. But from what I remember, it's very accurate because it talks about a system of control behind a system of control, and then even another system of control behind from the secrets. And even at that level, they're using mental manipulation, literally, for the power of their mind, controlling things. But we're kind of in a system where the interlocking governance of corporations, and then you have the interlocking intelligence agencies, Five Eyes and everything else. and whoever is behind that. Now we could, without getting into those details, we look at there being this system of architecture, and it's closed architecture, right? Instead of open architecture, meaning it's closed. They use a system of patents to keep those out. Now the thing is the system is corrupted, and they stole patents to keep this going and to create their system. And it's anything that was importance, they grabbed it. And there's now this particular Thomas Gabriel and American Intelligence Media. Let me just bring it up so I can point you guys to it, so you can go look at it later. Share screen. Now it's interesting. It's listed as Clinton communism under Google, and this dragonfly that's sitting above there, right? And it's called "They Will Go to Prison for Racketeering," and that's kind of important. Now, so this was just on June 4th, so it's relatively new piece. So I do encourage everyone to go there and check it out. So this interlocking system is controlled, but it's based upon technology that was legitimately under leader technology. That controls the security certificates. That means access to every device. It's controlled by the social media patents. So that's Facebook and YouTube and Google and so on. Basically all of them. And that they've literally cut out the legitimate owners of this technology, and so it's a controlled system. And it's literally that what they're pointing out in this video is it's the intelligence agencies that funded it. It's the intelligence agencies that can use it as mind control. And we can see how the mind control is presenting to us, how they're censoring information, and also how particular information that they want is brought forward, so that they literally give you the one answer. I think it was the Google CEO that basically was making this. Well, if you put in the search terms and it gives you 1 million results, it's not really helpful, right? So what we want to do is give you one answer. Well, who's choosing that one answer, right? They want to control it down to where you ask a question and they tell you what to do. That's what it comes down to. So they've built this system. It's worldwide. And now we have the Great Awakening. People are realizing what's going on, that the press is part of this, and mainstream media is part of this system of control. And everyone is now waking up to it. It's the QAnon movement. It's Trump. It's now we have the taking of sides. We have Japan coming on the side of Trump, and Prime Minister Abe is tweeting and QAnon, and they're linking up with QAnon, synchronizing tweets like with Trump. That's a big step, And then we also see that Kim Jong-un, tweeted he didn't coordinate with QAnon, but he said, "Hey, don't forget about me. I'm on Trump's side too." By saying exactly the same thing about Joe Biden as Trump did, in a completely off the wall manner. Where did that come from? Right? It was just to show support for Trump, right? Because of the missiles launched and things. So he had to kind of say, "Well, yeah, I'm with Trump. I'm on the side to push back the cabal that has made North Korea a deep state, operative, as well as Iran, So they've been orchestrating things. They needed to have the bad guys, right? They needed to have, create the battle. So we see that this has been the architecture. This has been put in place. So what is the solution? Now, the title of the one that they were referring to is "They will go to prison for racketeering?" ? Will they go to prison for racketeering? ? Now, why are they saying racketeering? Well, that is using illegal means to get together and tell everyone this is a secret. We're not going to tell anyone, and we're going to now go out and seize control and make profits. And what they were making a point to say about, say, monopoly powers. So they're using monopoly powers to stay in control, right? And that's illegal. But the problem was the solution of monopolies has not really been to punish the ones involved. It was kind of like, oh, you've got a monopoly, and we understand that you've built this monopoly, and we think you're using your powers to make sure you maintain the monopoly. That's what's illegal. The monopoly is not illegal. It's that you used your power of monopoly to keep control. It's a very hard thing, right? Because if you're in that position, anything you do is using your power, right? And if it's shown that you're using that to keep others out of market to compete with you, that's the part that's illegal. But what has been the solution for breaking is to break up the monopoly into smaller pieces. Now, who does that harm? That's the question. Let's look at AT&T. Did it harm AT&T to break up AT&T, or Ma Bell as it was called, right? And so Ma Bell and AT&T they were kind of one. And they broke up everything into these small pieces. But what happened to the people that had the monopoly? Were they punished, or did they actually get benefit from this? Well, one of the things in this was they were allowed to cash in their options. That made them all fabulously wealthy. And what did they do with that money? Well, they went ahead and they bought into all these other little companies, right? And then all swelled up again. So they actually made a lot of money out of this monopoly power when the government came in and orchestrated the dismantling of it. Who else made money? Was banks. Banks made a lot of money. Why? Because before the monopoly had so much money, they didn't need to borrow anything. Without borrowing, they didn't need to go ahead and pay out to banks. So banks did not make money off of this big segment of the industry. So they had to fix that, right? So once they broke up everyone, what did they all need? They all needed to have money to expand and build out. And where'd they get the money? From the banks. So the system of correcting the monopoly was to benefit all those that created the monopoly. So what if you were to break this up now? Would this help Leader Technologies? Since they're the ones that actually they stole the technology and the know-how from Leader Technologies. Does it help Leader? Well, would they get a payoff? Yeah, they can show that they literally stole the technology. So let's say that Leader makes $1 billion or even more. All right, but what about the people that were in it? Let's say they broke up, or did whatever their resolution is for, Google, Facebook, YouTube, whatever the solution is. Would it be to break them up into smaller chunks? Would that actually make any sense? Let's look at YouTube. Could we literally break up YouTube? Say, well, here's a smaller YouTube and a smaller YouTube and a smaller YouTube. Does that make any sense? With it, okay, you take 10% of all of the subscribers to YouTube, and you take 10%, it doesn't function that way, right? We got to get to a landing screen. You got to pick one of them to jump off to. No, it doesn't work. Now, considering that this was literally stolen technology, illegally obtained technology. Now, why are they saying racketeering? Because if they were actually, the solution was to go after them for racketeering and literally throw the people involved into prison, the full extent of the law. And if there's treason involved along those lines, because can you say that they've also been colluding with foreign governments? Notice the dragonfly above the Google. Treason, punishable by death. So let's say all of these things are executed. What happens with these entities that are created? Well, they've been talking about, well, if you're a public, are you a platform for distribution of information, or are you a publisher? There's this conversation going on. Are you a utility, that everybody uses? Let's say we'll look at the library, for example. It's a utility that everybody can use. It's where information is stored. You go and you access it, and you have a Dewey Decimal System, and you go through and you find the book you're looking for, or your article, and there you go. You get presented the information. So would it make sense for Google to be in that model, right? No advertising involved in this, right? It's a public utility. So is that a solution? It's possible. So the way I see it is leader technologies should be awarded all of it. Literally. Would it be a monopoly? Only if they use their power to maintain the monopoly themselves. Others could come up and do exactly the same thing, and there could be groups, and we could see that leader technologies see what they want to do. If you listen to this broadcast that they had put there, he's going to basically say what they want to do. They want to create a system based upon the constitutional rights of Americans. Good enough. That's what they want to do. So they should, all of this technology should be put into their hands. The people in charge of causing problems should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. So this is I think a valid solution, because it literally punishes the people involved and rewards leader technologies, Michael McKibben, and gives him what his due is. In their solution, they're asking for upfront money before everything's settled out of $40 billion, right? Ultimately, they want trillions in lost revenue, because it's their technology. They're due all of the funds that were generated by it. It's all theirs. It's not a legitimate business like AT&T was created as a business, and it was formed, and they expanded, and they owned the technology. So even though they became a monopoly and they were broken up, in that model, everyone who was broken up still made out. They were all still, much more wealthy than what it was just one company. So, that's a interesting, a way of handling a monopoly, right? Is everyone still wins, win-win situation. So did the consumers win? Yes. Did the banks win? Yes. Did the people involved in AT&T, Ma Bell, did they all win? Yes, they all won. Great solution. So was there more competition? Yes. So was it a good thing to break up the monopoly? Sure. We can accept that solution. But that solution doesn't work for this situation. And we should recognize, that this was stolen technology, and give it back and have all of the profits turned over to them. Now, Is it practical to say all the profits? As much as possible, right? Could depends how you want to count profits and everything else. But all the ones involved, let's say the corporate shareholders, do they end up losing? Probably not. But there could be it depends on what involvement they had. If you're just, called your broker, say, hey, buy some Google, I don't think it's a problem, right? Do you make money on it? Yeah. I don't think that's the money we're talking about. We're talking about the who's behind it. And now let's look at who's behind it. It's the clowns. It's the intelligence agencies. It's basically the CIA. They're the ones that basically orchestrated and put together the venture funds that funded this. But whichever way you want to look at it, the money came from that group, no matter where they got it from, right? They're the ones also setting up so that they ultimately control what's going on. And they've been doing this through Project Mockingbird, through Hollywood. They've been doing it through the ownership of all of these newspapers and media outlets. And they're doing it through the tech giants. So it wasn't, Zucker that was the one that, created Facebook by drinking some beer and saying, hey, let's pick up girls, I'll make a website, everyone uploads their photos. That wasn't it. That's all a lie. So anyway, so this is what we're looking at as a solution to this problem. All right. Well, okay, let's change topics a little bit. I just wanted to cover that. Someone sent me some information about Deutsche Bank going under. So I'm going to just share my screen with you. And now I did a little bit of looking into this. And though I do think that there is a problem with Deutsche Bank, I don't think this is anything much new. This is their stock. Basically, looking at this is, today we're down around $6. But if we change this, let's look out year by the year. Look to what's happened. So where it was up into, let's say, $9, and it's now down to, $6+. It's lost a third of its value in a year. Does that look bad for Deutsche Bank? Yes. There is some other news about Deutsche Bank, and I was looking at this guy talking about the global currency reset, right? Yay! reset global currency. A little bit different, right, than global currency reset, but he's going through this and predicting the doom and gloom of for Deutsche Bank. So, and we talk about banking and what's happening. There is major stuff going on. I've been talking with my partner in banking in England, and he's basically, yeah, it's all around. Everyone's talking about there's some big things happening there, and they're all waiting for what's going to happen. It's kind of like nobody knows what's going on. So there is this anticipation that there is something about to happen. Will Deutsche Bank actually collapse? It could be something that starts a bunch of banks going down, because Deutsche Bank is so overreaching, it goes into all the banks. It would literally cause all the banks to collapse. So is it going to happen? Well, it also, I think that it's less likely to happen now. But that's just because I think that the cabal is in a bad position, right? Trump is continually pointing to the Fed as being the problem. So the central banks are the problems. So literally Deutsche Bank is a central bank of Germany. Though there is an EU central bank, it's really Deutsche Bank is just much of the main player. So Germany would step in, right? Unless they literally are trying to cross the system. But I don't think that they're in the position to win at this point. So why would they do it? It would actually just hasten the demise of all the central banks, I think. So I don't think that is as much a problem. So, though there is something that's going to happen, I don't know. Now we know that on this worldwide stage with Trump and everything that's been going on, him saying it's this calm before the storm. I believe that this is the calm, and the storm is breaking loose right now. It's kind of like we've wrung out all the story of the Mueller report. Right? There's like no juice left in it. Right? It's kind of everything has gotten positioned, and people now picking apart the Mueller report, saying he's changed the words in the report from the things that were actually referenced to make it look bad. So the sections that are, looking bad for Trump are actually reworded sentences from the real material. So basically, the Mueller report is now leaking profusely. So it's losing credibility as being valid from what even was said in it. So, but it's, again, all of this is now being wrung out. There's no juice left in it. QAnon has said nothing for the last, since May 27th, I believe. So it's been quiet there. Trump is back, and this is a new week. It looks like this week something is going to break. Is Comey going to go down? I don't know, but something looks like it's about to break. All right, so I think I've said everything I'm ready to say right now about these things. There's some more brewing I don't want to talk about, but we will be. I'm going to go through the chats now, and if anyone wants to join in, please hop on. Go ahead and line up the chats. We got 85 people watching and 27 thumbs up. Come on, let's get 85 thumbs up. Right, so now let me share my screen. There we go. So we've got the live chat selected. I was the first in the room at 9 a.m. And I said, good moments to you all. Good moments. So let's see. Aloha, Nate. Thank you for showing up. I did talk with Nate earlier. He has a connection for some interesting polyurethane buildings, homes that could be used, and I am working through a housing program in England that wants to supply homes for the homeless for bad weather and things like that. So we're going to be looking into that. It looks like we have that. So I just contacted Nate about that. Let's see. We're looking, or we're free, divine, sovereign, invoking favor for all, and so it is. Well, there we go. Thank you, Susan. That was interesting. Thank you for the blessings from Nicholas. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit now that I've gone down the list a little bit. To make it easier to read for me and for you. All right. All right, we got there. So someone said Dan and Tank. Nate, again, the DANK live will be starting in about 1 hour from now. We have it split up into 2 segments, since he's doing the Speak Up with Tank on the different projects and things that are coming to get funded. Again, if you have any questions, put a Q and then the question. Don't need to write the word questions. It's easier for me to spot the letter Q. And plus, we kind of have a Q theme here going on anyway. Yeah, Tui also joined us yesterday, so that was good to hear from Tui. He's lining up things in Fiji still. He was able to speak with the head of military intelligence. That was also interesting to find out. What the long distance carrier comment was all about, but anyway. Let's see. Can filter scam calls. That's why. Okay. All right, Mark, if the state is its own country, which there are 50 separate states, then having each state country making them their own determinations might get the decisions closer to the people. Yes? Well, let's talk about that. So they, when we talk about them being their own country, just realize what they were before the United States. They were estates. They were real estate owned by the crown, which the crown put governors in place. And the governor would be the one that was representing the king. So when the estates came together, the real estates came together, the big plantations, just look at it that way, about of land that had borders and was owned by a king, a sovereign. And they decided to come together to form the United States. It's a small letter U. And they basically formed this group of plantations. And they said, we're going to act in our foreign conversations with the king and other sovereigns around the world as a group. And we're going to basically allow for ourselves to have taxes so that it comes into the group and we can form a military. And that's what it was all about. So was each state a country? Not exactly. It wasn't. Did the United States ever become a country? That is a question. The foundation, you can look at, what about who owned the land before the plantations were set up? The Iroquois might be, owners. There could be others that you might want to say that were the owners of Turtle Island. It's the United States, or the continent of North America. Kind of looks like a turtle. So the Turtle Island were being owned by a particular, group of people, right? And then these people came in and set up their plantations and started growing on it, and put a system of law on top of it, and so on. So who is the owner? So how far back do we want to go? I think it's time for everyone to voice up and come to a resolution for the whole world. Really stop changing borders so much and recognize, people as sovereign individuals, and for us to come together in every geographic location and decide what that is. What does that look like? Now, there'll be some ancient kingdoms that are still in place, and that's fine. But the political systems that are sitting on top of these geographic areas have to be recognized as political systems. Capitalism, you could say one, communism, socialism, fascism. All of these are political systems. We have to recognize them for what they are. And the people that are in them should recognize what they are. right? And there should be, a worldwide change take place, not just about the finance. Finance is a very big part of it, right? Because that's what we've been all, trained to use and how to function. But that's something that we all have to recognize. There has to be a worldwide system. We have to all set up some basic rules about that. All right. Let us continue a little bit here. Dan, that would be the DOJ. Judge Green signed this into law. Oh, what did I say? What was that referring to? Mark, I wasn't. What it would be the Department of Justice signed it into law. Stop the corruption, because more of the states would make it so cheap to live, and no choice. Yeah, could be. I think we need to move past a lot of these things. Oh, yes. Well, today, congratulations, Dan, on your 100th episode of DANK Live. Keep up the good work and see you on the other side. Thanks, Charles Smith. So this is going to happen today at 50 minutes from now. We will be starting the 100th episode of DANK Live, the 15-day experiment to reveal that GCR is a big lie, and just kept going. And then we kind of split up, and now we have 3 basic programs that are going on, all in the same kind of, area, and that's, we can have more people. Please join in, make your broadcast, become part of this network, and let's get the information flowing. All right, it's our own social network. Right. Thank you all. Fiber Fluster. Where did the technology come from? Well, that's that is a whole other branch of conversation, right? McKibben had a furrow who developed the leader technology. A furrow. What is that? Is that? It's not a girl. It's a furrow. What is that? Please tell me. Come on board and let's talk about that. The link is in the where we go one, we go all.love. Link down below. Click on that, get signed up. Let's get online here. It just so happens that Zuck was the same dorm room as McKibben. I did not know that. That'll be interesting. And Zuck is a cyborg. Well, that might. I don't think so, but you never know. CIA puppet, definitely. I want to point out the same story goes to Microsoft and Bill Gates. Bill Gates is comes from a very rich family, and that information about what he was excited about and getting into this technology piece. The DOS was literally something that they purchased. They didn't write it. They and then never honored the agreement and based all their subsequent technology on this. It wasn't until they got to Windows XP that they literally were able to remove. Actually, I think still some pieces were still connected to DOS in some way. So I guess it was after XP that they literally got out of DOS and they no longer were tied to it. But all that money that was generated off of someone else's technology. And then we can get into what happened with Apple and Microsoft and Bill Gates. Bill Gates ended up owning 40% of Apple. Surprise. And that is the truth. Pretty sure he's a Rockefeller. Could it be? Mockingbird, I saw, and then it jumped. What happens? How does it jump? Oh. It jumped a lot. Where is it? Ah, I hate when that happens. It's lost in the shuffle here. There we go. I found it again. Mockingbird Facebook. All right. Okay, he is a Rockefeller. Indeed. Nate. Okay. When again? Oh, it didn't go too far. Question, Dan. Why did the cabal set up monetary system set the collapse on itself? Oh, it's because it's the cycle that they rely on to extract everything from everybody. And if you have nothing left, there is no system left, right? It collapses. It's the purpose of it is to extract everything. We're at the bottom of this as well, so let me end the sharing screen. So if the system is set up in this pyramid shape, and everyone at the bottom, the toilers in the laborers, are continue like operation, and everything that they make, they send up to the next level. When everything goes up to the next level, so as this all flows up, when there's nothing left at the bottom, which is where we're at, nobody has any money, no one owns anything. You don't own your home, you don't own your car. Even if you've paid off your mortgage, you have a title, which is the right to use. You're still paying taxes, rent on it. You don't own it. It's not a sovereign piece of land that you have the alloidal rights to, which means you don't pay anyone anything. It's yours. So you don't own anything. And they've removed everything from the system. It now moves to the next level, right? It's the ones above that still have things, companies, little companies, mom and pop shops. Those have to go. It goes up to the big retailers, right? And the big retailers, look at what's happening to Walmart, right? They're collapsing. Walmart is collapsing, right? Because they don't have the people can't buy anything in the mass quantities that they were before. And then they're bringing it down to just food services, right? Maintaining what they can until that's not there. And then the farmers are gone, and the manufacturers are gone. Nobody owns any. There isn't anything left. It goes up to the mega corporations. And what's happening to mega corporations? They're consuming each other. The big banks are going to consume each other. Deutsche Bank goes down, will be bought by Citibank. Who knows? But they'll continue to consume each other, level up, until the countries are the only ones left, right? They're at that level above the corporations, or maybe they're below. But the countries will be also consumed and owned by one major company, the UN, who will then send the forces out to make sure that everyone is maintained in control and give you your subsistence stipend. You're enough. Put the code on the back of your hand, your barcode, and you go and you select. Put your RFID on there, and you go and get your daily food allotment. Right, and then they send you to work where they want you, and where the laborers go. Right, and then suddenly they don't need so many laborers, and then they start feeding the laborers, the other people that are too sick, and they've moved out of the system, and they chop them up and feed them to the laborers. Right, they can have everyone consume until there's nothing left, and it moves up and moves up and moves up. That's the system design. But in this time where the money system is ready to collapse is the time that everything can change. They can't stop it from collapsing. That's what its nature is. It's designed to do that. It will collapse. But in this time, the nations seem to, leaders such as Trump and maybe Xi Jinping and Putin, maybe a bunch of others are realizing, hey, we're going to do something differently. We're gonna go ahead and create a new system, one based on asset. Simple concept, right? And is there going to be turmoil? Yes, there will be. But we will be able to get through this. All right. Let's reconvene here in about 40 minutes on DANK Live. I appreciate everyone from joining me here. We're continuing up these broadcasts and bringing out information. Please subscribe and share, and positive comments and thumbs ups, and let's build this. And if you need help doing your own channel, contact me, and we'll help. All right, I'll hold your hand. All right, everyone. Catch you in a little bit.